Hi, this is Taylor Acosta, and this is a look into different cultures. My first culture that I chose was Brazil. On this slide, I have pictures of Carnival, which I found to be really interesting for us down here because it reminded me a lot of Mardi Gras. Carnival in Brazil is a celebration to represent the beginning of Lent. I love the pretty colors in the costumes. It's all very bright and it just looks like it would be quite the experience. I hope one day to be able to go. So, the diet in Brazil, the staples are rice and beans coupled with spices, meat, fresh fruit, vegetables, and fish. Feijoada is a great favorite with the Brazilian people and was brought to the country with the African slaves. It is a black bean stew containing pork meat and eaten with rice. It is also considered the national dish. So that is actually the top picture in this slide, which I'm not a fan of beans, so it didn't look very good to me, but it kind of almost reminded me of like a red bean dish. It's just instead it's made with black beans. Street markets are a popular feature in all areas of Brazil. They offer a wide selection of foods, including the popular and versatile pastel, which is a pastry crust containing various fillings, either sweet or savory, and it's then deep fried. The ingredients can vary from minced chicken, shrimp, cheese, or also to soft fruits, bananas, or chocolate. So the picture underneath is a picture of the street market, which it looks really interesting to see. Like there was some other pictures and it'll go on for so long. It's not something kind of reminded me of like the French market in New Orleans, but it just seems so much bigger. So another dish that is popular in the markets is coxinha. It contains minced chicken wrapped in a dough and molded into the shape of a chicken leg before being deep fried. Kibbeh is another deep fried snack dish with Middle Eastern influences containing beef, garlic, onion, cinnamon, and mint mixed with bulgur wheat. The official language of Brazil is Portuguese due to the mass Portuguese settlements during the 16th, 17th, and 18th centuries. There's a small amount of indigenous people and immigrants who speak their native tongues, but this makes up a vast minority, sorry. Religions practice. The vast majority of Brazilians believe in the Roman Catholic Church, resulting in about 80% of the population. This is because of the European settlers who taught in the indigenous tribe Catholicism. They helped them build churches and establish traditions and customs that originated from this church. I found this really interesting because I genuinely did not know what religion Brazil practiced, and I found it really interesting. I'm also Catholic, so I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't Catholicism. Health benefits. Brazilians seek medical care for treatment of illness rather than to prevent disease. I found this interesting because like they don't believe in like vaccines and stuff like that. They just believe like whatever you get, they will treat. Many illnesses may be attributed to divine intervention or fate. A common belief is that infants and children can become ill if exposed to fresh air or wind. When someone is sick, they are not expected to make decisions about their own health issues. Families handle these decisions. They're very family oriented whenever it comes to their health. They believe that it is a unit to work together. A mainstay of folk medicine is herbal and medicinal teas, which I found this interesting. That's the picture at the top, is some of the different things they'll use. Family members often share prescription drugs and self-medication with antibiotics. The education beliefs or practices. So the school career of children is broken up into different progressive stages. Your elementary school is from ages 6 to 14 years of age. Then your high school is 15 to 17 years of age. And then your higher education is just after you get your high school education done if you choose to go into it. I found this interesting because we have like elementary and then we have upper and then we have middle and then we have high school and then we have higher education. So like we break it down a lot more than they do. And I'm kind of curious like if this would be beneficial to to have the same kids in the same school for such a long period of time. School is compulsory for all children between 7 and 14 years of age. However, this is seldom enforced, as many children live in rural areas or have to work to make money for their families instead of spending time at school. Public schools often lack plumbing and heating, and the structures are often neglected. This has led to a high rate of illiteracy and unemployment in Brazil, which has in turn led to even less schooling, as these ones must then involve their children in the work sector to bring in extra funds. Cultural etiquette, this was probably my favorite stuff that I learned about. So, when invited to dinner or an event, do not underdress. It is considered more appropriate to overdress than to appear too casual in appearance. Always bring the hostess a small gift of gratitude, such as a glass of wine or some fresh flowers. Avoid giving anyone a gift that is black or purple, as these are perceived as mourning colors. Always arrive early for events and dinners. In businesses, Brazilians tend to deal with individuals, not companies. Therefore, you will need to establish a trusting relationship with them if you wish to gain their business. It is important that you do not try to rush them into making decisions or forming relationships. My next culture that I chose was Vietnam. The pictures here are the Lunar New Year. The Lunar New Year begins with the first new moon of the lunar calendar and ends 15 days later on the first full moon. And I thought the picture of these kids was so cute. And again, they have like these extravagant like costumes and outfits, and I thought it was really pretty. So their main dietary staple is rice, which most of them eat 3 meals a day. Rice is usually consumed jointly by family members. The common practice is to prepare several dishes that are placed on a tray or table that people sit around. Individuals have small bowls filled with rice and then take food from the trays as well as rice from their bowls with chopsticks. Vietnamese often accompany these main dishes with leafy vegetables and small bowls of salty sauces in which they dip their food. Popular dishes include sauteed vegetables, tofu, a seafood-based broth with vegetables called kan, and a variety of pork, fish, or meat dishes. A common ingredient for cooked dishes and the dipping sauces is salty fish sauce. Another important family practice is serving of tea from a small teapot with small cups to guests. The most popular item is a noodle soup with a clear meat-based broth called pho. Many Vietnamese regard this as its national dish. So pho is pictured bottom right, and then the top left is just kind of like their basis. How I said they take rice and then they'll put meats and vegetables and whatnot on top of their rice. Vietnamese is the dominant language spoken by an estimated 86.7% of the population. The religions practiced. So the Vietnamese government recognizes 6 official religions: Buddhism, Catholicism, Protestantism, Islam, and 2 indigenous religion traditions that emerged during the colonial period. The tradition of Buddhism is dominant in Vietnam, and over 70% of Vietnamese consider themselves at least nominally Buddhist. The Constitution technically allows for the freedom of religion, but this right is often constrained, particularly with regard to any religious activities that could become a forum for dissent. The Vietnamese, like residents of other poor tropical countries, suffer from a wide range of illness, including parasitic, intestinal, nutritional, sexually transmitted, and respiratory diseases. One of the greatest strains on the contemporary medical system is HIV/AIDS. The first Vietnamese case of which was reported in 1990. Experts estimated that the disease has affected over 165,000 Vietnamese. The Vietnamese Revolution created improvements in the quality and availability of healthcare. The government constructed hospitals in urban areas and health clinicals in rural communities where patients were required to pay only minimal fees, and I found that really interesting. So, higher education is very prestigious, a tradition that dates back to the competitive examination system to become an official in the pre-colonial period. Many families want their children to attend university, but such an option is beyond reach for the majority of the population, particularly those in rural or highland areas. Cultural etiquette. Polite behavior is highly valued. One of the most important dimensions of politeness is for the young to show respect to their elders. In everyday life, younger people show this respect by using hierarchical terms of address when interacting with their seniors, and parents regularly instruct their children on their proper usage. Younger people should also be the first to issue the common salutation, KO, when meeting someone older. Should always invite their seniors to begin eating before they do, ask for permission to leave the house, announce their arrival when they return, and not dominate conversations or speak in a confrontational manner with their seniors. Pre-revolutionary practices demanded that juniors bow to their seniors, but the revolution has largely eliminated such practices. Many elders today feel that the revolution produced a general decline in politeness, which I found very interesting because, like, just because they're not bowing to you, they consider it like, oh, our polite culture is going downhill, which spoke volumes to me because I feel like, to me, like, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but for them to be that, I guess, moved by it, that they consider respect and politeness to a level that I never even would have considered, which is very admirable. People of the same gender often maintain close proximity in social contexts. Both males and females will hold hands or sit very close together. People of different genders, however, especially if they are not married or related, should not have physical contact. In general, women are expected to maintain greater decorum than men by avoiding alcohol and tobacco, speaking quietly, and dressing modestly. So how am I going to use this in my classroom, knowing that these two cultures could very well present themselves in my classroom? So I think the biggest thing is to remember when having a student of a different culture is to be accepting. I have now learned that Brazilian schools are typically run down, so this could potentially be intimidating to a new Brazilian student. Also, with Vietnamese children, they're instilled to acknowledge and hold their elders to the utmost respect. So a student may exhibit some of these actions to me, and now I have an understanding of why. I can also keep in mind for group projects or desk placement, since Vietnamese children of different gender typically should not remain in close proximity of one another. So even though we try to avoid, like, putting groups of all girls or all boys in this situation, I feel like to respect their culture, it is something that I can be aware of and possibly even talk to the student about to see if that would make them more comfortable, and just showing them that I'm being understanding of their culture. This is my works cited page. So thanks, guys.